Hi guys, it's me, Trudy Lee. How's everyone doing? Hopefully y'all are doing well. I just heard that Trump has been indicted again for the January 6th. I haven't seen any TV. I just walked outside for a few seconds. I've been here working at my desk, and my husband said it's all over the news. Trump's been indicted, so yay! He's going down, y'all. He's going down. Finally, it's taken a long time, but it's all catching up with him. All right. So if you're new to my channel, welcome. This is the ongoing saga of my mother's illness. So I'm going to get y'all up to date on that because I haven't been here for 2 weeks. I've just been so busy, and then when I get home, I'm so exhausted, you guys, and there's so much to do. My husband told me when I got home on Friday, he said, I vacuumed and I mopped. And then on Saturday, I looked at the mop bucket and I noticed there was just barely any water that was brown in it. So I says to him, how did you mop exactly? And he said he put the mop underneath the faucet and got it wet, and he mopped with water. That's how he mopped. But he tried, right? He did something. Anyway, it looked halfway clean, but I could tell it needed to be really clean. So, I've been cleaning. That's what I do when I get home. I start cleaning and getting caught up on all the chores. So for you that give y'all an update on my mom, remember on June the 9th, my mother went to have an outpatient procedure. She's 81 years old and she has AFib, and she was having a watchman put in her heart for blood clots, so that she wouldn't have a stroke. Now, I don't know why she couldn't just have relied on blood thinners. And I asked the cardiologist this, and he said, I don't know. He asked me, does your mother fall a lot? No, she does not. She's strong. She mows her grass. She takes care of her yard. She does not fall. So I don't know. She was driving her own car. She's strong. She's healthy, or was. Never fell. That I've never heard her falling. And she has two of my sisters that live there. And if she would have fallen, I would have heard about it. She drove herself to the hospital for this procedure. It was an outpatient procedure. But, she has taken care of her 1 acre yard, mowed, raked. She took care of her house. She washed her own clothes. She cooked dinner for everybody almost every night. And, she did everything, basically. And, of course, she's 81 years old, and, maybe she had slowed down a little bit, but she was doing very well. The doctor tore her aorta during the procedure, and she bled out. And a thoracic surgeon was called to save her life, and he did. Of course, she had to receive a lot of blood, a lot of transfusions. Her kidneys were injured because of her bleeding out, and now she's on dialysis. She's been on dialysis ever since. But it's her mental state that, has really been impacted. Now, I don't know if her kidneys will come back. They're not sure. They're saying maybe after, being on dialysis for 3 months, maybe they'll come back. We don't know. And, we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But mentally, she has been impacted severely. She's like a toddler now, honestly. She hasn't walked in over a month. Right after the initial procedure, they had her walking, and then she just took a nosedive. So she was up and walking with the help of how they do when you're in cardiac care, with a walker and all that. So she did walk around the hospital, and we thought she was on the mend, but no, she had pneumonia. She's had anything you can think of, basically, has gone wrong. But she's very unreasonable. She won't participate in her therapies and her treatments. Physical therapy will come and she'll tell them to get out of her room. She has breathing treatments. and she won't take them any longer. She was actually taking them, and when I'm there, she'll take the mask off. As soon as the therapist walks out of the room, she'll pull the mask off, and I'll lay it right beside her so that it's going into her airway. I did hold it one time. I just held it in front of her mouth, and she just beat my arm. You know, she was just hitting me the whole time. And I'm like, okay, but you're still getting it. She didn't hurt me because she's not strong enough to hurt me, but she just doesn't have any capability of reasoning anymore. She had a feeding tube up until a few days ago. While I was there last week, it was removed, thank goodness. So she's eating soft foods right now. And, you know, what they're giving her, she won't eat it. Like cream of wheat, oatmeal. She won't eat any of those. They're bringing her pudding for every meal, and they're just stacking it up on her table there. She won't eat it, you know. She does eat applesauce. She likes that. She gets Ensure, you know, so she does drink some Ensure. She is almost like skin and bone now, and she doesn't urinate herself. She had a catheter for a long time, and then when they took her out of ICU, they removed the catheter before they took her out, and they have to catheterize her every time to get urine out of her bladder. And she's had 2 UTIs. Now, I don't know if that's because they're having to get the, you know, a couple of times, at least once or twice a day, they have to scan her bladder and see if it's full, and then catheterize her. It's called a straight catheter, and get the urine out of her body because she cannot urinate. She, like I said, she hasn't stood up. She hasn't walked in probably 6 weeks, maybe longer. She hadn't had a shower in 2 months since she's been there. They have started giving her a sponge bath now and washing her hair. For the first time the other day, she got her hair washed in the bed. I don't know how they did it because I wasn't there, but my sister came and her hair was completely wet. So I know that must have felt really good because she was just scratching her head. Also, she was restrained a good bit of that time that she was in ICU. She was restrained because she pulled her feeding tube out 3 times. She pulled her catheter out once. She pulled her IV out once, and I mean, she left a terrible hole in her hand. But that was because she was just out of her mind, you know. And it's really kind of scary because when they're giving her dialysis, you know, we don't know if she would all of a sudden pull it. You know, that would be horrible if she pulled while they were in the middle of dialysis. So they have to watch her really carefully when they're giving her dialysis. And she doesn't seem to understand what dialysis is. You know, they bring the machines into her room for dialysis, and she has a port now, and they hook her up. She doesn't seem to know what's going on. And the man that was there, the nurse, dialysis nurse, she was just screaming at him, telling him, "Get away from me, don't touch me, get out of my room." And he would have to kind of stand behind the machine just to keep her calm and watch her from behind the machine, because she wouldn't even notice that he was still there. She's just out of it. She also has short-term memory loss. She doesn't remember what happened yesterday, you know. She had her nurse call me and ask me for a patty melt. She called and talked to me. She can't dial a phone or anything like that, but she had the nurse do it. On the board right in front of her bed is my phone number and my sister's phone number in case of an emergency or in case she needs to call. So she did call. But, you know, I asked repeatedly if my mother had suffered a stroke. And finally, after 10 days, they decided to do a CAT scan of my mother's head, of her brain. And they said, yes, she has had a stroke, but we think that might be an old stroke. And I said, well, how do you know it's an old stroke? What makes you believe that it's an old stroke? what's the difference between a fresh new stroke and an old stroke? So, you know, enlighten me a little bit. And what I was told is that if it was a new stroke, they would see swelling in the brain. And they said they didn't see any swelling. And I said, well, how long is the swelling there after a stroke? And they said, well, maybe about a week. I said, well, this is 10 days ago. Maybe the swelling's gone down. And they had nothing to say to that. So anyway, she's definitely not the same person she was as a person she is now. And she drove herself to this outpatient procedure. She drove her own car, drove herself. I'm sure she suffered a frontal lobe stroke, and this is an area that encompasses behavior. If you look it up, it's all about behavior, and you know, that's exactly what's been affected. She is not the same person. And you know, the doctor that operated on her, he stated to my sister, I made an error. He walked out and said, I made an error and tore your mother's aorta, and I don't know if she's going to make it. But my mother has a strong will to live, to survive. She really does. Even though her brain has been impacted, and she still has that drive, you know, that will to live. She's a very willful person. So we're going to have her moved to a skilled nursing facility for rehab. And hopefully she'll do better in that environment. Where she's at now, they do not coordinate things well. You never know when physical therapy and occupational therapy and dialysis, they could all show up at the same time. There's no coordination. And I saw that happen back to back. Occupational therapy came in, had her sit on the edge of the bed, and then the dialysis came, and physical therapy came also. So, of course, dialysis takes precedent. So she got no physical therapy, and she was already exhausted from occupational therapy. So, you know, this hospital just doesn't have good communication skills. So we're hoping that sending her to this nursing facility for rehab for the next 90 days will, you know, get her in a better place. Maybe she can come home after that. We're not sure if that's going to happen or not. This may be her new baseline, and if so, then she would probably have to stay there because she needs round-the-clock care. And there's nobody there. I have a sister that has chronic leukemia that lives there. She's had it for many, many years. She's unable to hardly care for herself. And then my other sister that lives there, she works full-time. She helps pay some of my mother's bills, so it's important that she keeps her job. So she's, you know, she's not there to care for her. She would need somebody there caring for her at all times. Because my mother has tried to get up out of the bed, and she'll say to me, I got to go put the beans on, or, you know, I got to go cook something. And I'll say, Mom, do you see a kitchen here? You're in the hospital. And then she'll be like, what? You know, poor thing. But that's where she's at. So she really has to be watched. But today is Tuesday, and she asked my sister for a hot dog. And when I was there on Friday, she asked me for a pizza while she was getting dialysis. And, you know, she was actually on a liquid diet then, and she was only getting things that would basically melt in her mouth, you know, because she hadn't chewed in so long and they didn't want her to choke on something. And I didn't think a pizza would be a good thing for her to have. I didn't want her to choke on pizza, you know. So I told the nurse that was there for her dialysis, I'm looking at him. She's she's focused on the TV, even though it's not registering, but she's looking at the TV, and I'm looking at him, and I said, well, I don't think that pizza can be delivered at the hospital, Mom. And I'm looking at him going, and I said, do they deliver here? And he looked at me and he goes, well, I think. And I went, he goes, oh, no, they don't. They don't deliver here. And I go, okay, Mom, well, they don't deliver here. We'll have to see if we can maybe get you a pizza tomorrow. So she was okay with that. She can be redirected, you know. She's like a toddler, so you don't say no to her. You just redirect her and say, maybe tomorrow, right? And then she'll fall asleep and forget that she ever asked for a pizza. But, I have an update. My sister texted me just a while ago. My mother's definitely hungry. My sister's there with her and she got with the dietitian. And for lunch, she had cream of mushroom soup. She didn't really like it. She took like a couple bites and she didn't like it. So my other sister, went this weekend on Saturday. She went to Panera Bread and she bought her potato soup and some avocado, and my mother loved it. She ate a lot of it. So I just got a text. She got fish and green beans, and she ate a few bites of everything. So she's bringing her some better food now. Thank goodness. So maybe she'll have more energy and she'll be able to get up and start moving her body. That's, when you stop walking and moving, then your body kind of shuts down, and she needs to get up and start moving again. She does want to get up, but they won't let her get up. Only when physical therapy's there. And when physical therapy's there, she doesn't want to participate. So I say I think we should go with her flow. If she wants to get up, let her get up. I told the nurse there, I said, if she wants to get up, if she tells me I want to get up, I'm getting her up. I will get her up. I'll hold on to her. I won't let her fall. But she wants to get up and stand. I'm going to let her stand because she needs to start moving her body, you know. I'm a rule breaker, y'all. When she got moved to the room last week, they said she couldn't have anything, even up there in ICU. The nurse was saying, she can't have anything to eat or drink. And I'm saying, water is okay, because the speech pathologist had come and talked to me and told me she could have ice chips and water, that it was okay. Y'all, she had a yeast infection in her lung. So they were afraid that, she was aspirating and things were going into her lung. She had pneumonia, she had a yeast infection, she had 2 UTIs. And we didn't find out about this until after the fact, One doctor, one resident or something would let it slip. It's a teaching hospital, so we have rounds and rounds of residents coming in, and we'd find out more and more from the residents. Anyway, I'm a rule breaker. I gave her ice and I gave her water the whole time. When I was there, she could have ice and water. I went and got it myself. Even if the nurse didn't get it, I went and got it. Because what the speech pathologist said to me, your body's made out of 80% water. Water is not going to hurt her. Let her have a drink. Let her have ice chips. She'll be fine. We don't want her to have food in her lung because that will cause an infection. But water is fine. And so I gave her water. Her mouth was so dry, y'all. It was so dry. And that's me. I'm just a rule breaker. Anyway, my sister said that after she ate her dinner tonight, she asked where her husband was. She said, go find him. She told my sister, go find him. And her husband passed away this past December. You people that have been following my story with her. So my sister very gently told her, he passed away and he's in heaven. Don't you remember? And she got really quiet. And then she started to pull her blankets up, and my sister helped her. And she got angry. She got angry, and she said, aren't you fascinating? and she didn't say it nicely. But, she just isn't able to reason. She isn't able to understand. She can't formulate her sentences. She told me one day while I was there, she said, Trudy, I have an idea. And I said, oh, well, what is it, Mom? What's your idea? She goes, it's gone. Poor thing. I mean, just imagine how that feels, that, that you have a thought and you can't hold it in your mind. So she's gone through so much. And I thank you guys so much for all your thoughts and prayers. I know y'all been wondering where I've been. But like I said, I came home Friday. I woke up Friday at 3:30 in the morning, and I could not go back to sleep. I was at my mother's, and I wasn't sure if I was going to go home on Friday or stay the weekend there. My sister's off on the weekends, so she can be with my mother. And I normally stay the weekend, but I was really feeling pulled towards home. And I packed up all my stuff, and I was at the hospital at like 6:45, and I stayed till about 3:30, and left Houston at 3:30, and it was a nightmare traffic on a Friday after 3 o'clock. It was nightmare traffic all the way home. I had slept maybe 3 hours the night before. I was so sleepy. I was so sleepy, but I really felt the need to come home. My husband had been by himself all week, and I just felt like I needed to spend a little time with him. So that's what I've been doing the last few days. We even went to the movies, and we saw that Indiana Jones. I had to think of an Indiana Jones movie, so that was good. A lot of people say that was so much CGI and everything, but I thought it was really good. We enjoyed it. I stayed awake. I don't know how, but I did. I stayed awake. It was a little bit long for me to stay in a dark movie theater without falling asleep in those comfortable chairs. But I just felt like I needed to spend a little time with my husband. And so that's what I've been doing. We went to the gym today. I've just been kind of being at his side and being with him and taking care of the house and all. But I have been doing readings too, taking care of a few things here and there. So if you'd like to get a reading with me, I am doing readings. I also am doing everything, portal closing, chakra balancing, healing sessions. If you need anything, please don't hesitate to look down below at my email and contact me, okay? I'll be home all this week. I'll be home till Monday. So I want to stay busy. I do have a couple of people scheduled, but I can fit you in too. Don't worry, okay? All right, guys, thank y'all for listening and staying tuned into my story. And again, thank you very much for all your thoughts and prayers. They help. They really, really do. I love you guys. I will be back soon. So bye for now.